Michelle, are you ready?
I was born ready.
She's an award-winning author, speaker, and podcast host who serves on the National Faith Advisory Council. She supported Donald J. Trump for president before it was cool, from her she shed in her beautiful backyard. This is the Michelle Moore Show.
Trophies have turned to rust. People have let me down. Who can I trust? I found earth's riches, but I lost my own worth. When I hit rock bottom, to whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall and reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you. All for you, Jesus. In you I found the greater love. You are my firm foundation, in whom I place my trust. I found heaven's when you told me my word, you alone give words of life. To whom else could I turn? It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, rise will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus. This life is a vapor, just a breath away. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, we all return to clay. Let my life be a drink offering. Hold me out any way that you please. Without you, Jesus, it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, all for you. I'm merely existing if I'm not existing to worship you. 'Cause kingdoms fall, reigns will end, empires crumble and left in ruins. It's all for nothing if it's not all for you, Jesus.
Hi, everybody. So glad that you're with us today. Happy Monday. Oh, my goodness. So much going on. Okay. So I have to laugh. So Mark Taylor's not with us today. And I had texted him this morning because I know that he has an appointment. And I said, what time is the appointment? And he responded in military time. I was like, okay, I know what that means. It was just so funny. I can tell you also that just through the texting that he and I have done over, the last 3 or 4 days, I can report he's still sassy. So he was cracking me up with some of the stuff over the weekend, but he'll be back Monday. He's not here this Monday, but we have a lot to go over. One of the things that I want you to know is that I got the information from Melissa Leggett. So Melissa Leggett already has a prayer call that she's been doing. I think it's called like Rocking the West Coast Prayer Call. And so, okay, I got the deets for you. You ready? So there's a phone number that you call. It is Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, 8 a.m. Pacific time. And on the screen here is the phone number for the prayer call. So it's 339-207-7017. So make a note of it if you can. And again, it's Pacific time. So just be aware of that. But many of you have been writing and asking me about her prayer call and how to get the details and all that kind of stuff. Now, she has some personal things going on with her mother. Her mother's been very sick. And so, to have her come on a show right now, it's a little bit more difficult, or to do some time with us. So I talked with Melissa, and what we just agreed was that I would give out the prayer call information. I didn't realize that the prayer call was open to the public. And so that'll work out perfect. So you guys are more than welcome. She's aware that I'm sharing this on today's show. And so you're more than welcome to join her on Wednesday or Friday of this week, or whenever you can. So just wanted to give you a heads up on that. Okay, so much to go over. The next thing is documentaries. I want to give you a heads up that tomorrow, I told you about the distribution center and that I've gotten involved and we're making some major changes when it comes to Godly Granny. Well, it's a lot of work. And so I am not going to be here live tomorrow or Wednesday in working with and traveling to get everything changed over. It's a lot of prep work and a lot of stuff going on. So, and a lot of just details. Let's just call it details. So tomorrow and Wednesday, I will not be here live. Of course, we'll be doing documentaries. So tomorrow is the roots of the Jewish mafia. You're going to see why, because today we're going to be talking about some stuff. And we want to make sure that you've seen the roots of the Jewish mafia. This was one of the life-altering, game-changer videos that I saw. A friend sent it to me almost 3 years ago, and really right at it, and changed my life. Completely opened my eyes to things that really, truly made no sense, that I didn't really think about until I heard it in this video. It's about an hour long. We're going to play it for tomorrow's show. And then Wednesday, we're going to talk a little bit about this today too. So propaganda, the manufacture of consent. And so where did it come from? Producer Ron, that reminds me, I want to show that image that you had screenshot today as well, that I said I wanted for the show today. So I want to see that too. And so the propaganda documentary, the manufacture of consent. And so where did propaganda actually come from? And it really was actually manufactured from a man named Edward Bernays. And so you're going to find out about that. Now, this weekend, I saw a video that actually says that Edward Bernays' son is who owns Netflix. If that's true, wow, that's interesting. So I got to look that up. Okay, which there's a whole nother thing too, by the way, a whole nother rabbit hole I've been going down about the industry when it comes to who owns the veterinarian practices, the insurances for your pets. Oh, there's a whole bunch of stuff. And so much of it is owned by the big three: BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street. Yeah, veterinarian practices, or like the insurances for your, yeah. So veterinarian practices, like owners, like of these, like individual veterinarians that have these practices that they own throughout the United States. What's happening is they are on a weekly basis, daily basis, whatever it is, they are being bombarded about selling. Of course, this is really a parallel to the real estate industry, because I saw this in the real estate industry 5 to 7 years ago, running rampant. I would say almost like 7 to 9 years. but it's just gone to a whole nother level in the last 5 to 7. But they were the real estate industry, at least in like Middle Tennessee, I've seen it this way, where you would have a home on the market and an investor would come in, an investor group, and they would offer so much more than what the home was even really worth. And they were coming in and pretty much buying up neighborhoods. And so, and that's really when I was reading up on what's going on with these practices and how these veterinarians are starting to look at retiring. They're getting older, but they own a practice. And so what they're doing is, even the ones that hold out and say, no, I'm going to take less and I'm going to give it to another veterinarian. I'm going to sell that. I'm going to do the deal with them. Well, like in one case, a lady sold her veterinary practice to another veterinarian. 2 months later, that veterinarian sold out and made a ton of money. Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff going on and with that. And then there is a insurance company that owns, like, does the whole thing about like insurance for your pet. Like, you know, if your dog gets sick, it's just going to be so expensive. So we're going to sell you this insurance. Well, pet insurance, the name of the company is Lemonade. And so I got to digging to see, well, who owns Lemonade? Sure enough, State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock. Just saying. So anyway, so it's a whole thing. And of course, you know, they're in on all the stuff with, you know, what all we're supposed to be doing to our pets and giving them and all that kind of stuff. I also just want to mention, while we're on the subject and it's coming to my mind, make sure that you keep in mind also what you're putting on your grass. Because I was just telling producer Ron today, I'm like, you know, I'm starting to really watch everything, even about the yard. And so, you know, we've been told the dandelions are weeds, and we find out that there are a lot of medicinal purposes for those. For us, they're really good. Well, what about the dogs and the cats, the kitties that we got running around in our yards, and we're putting down all of this Monsanto stuff that we think is to make us look like we've got this beautiful yard, when really, how are we poisoning not only ourselves, but our fur babies? And so now we've got all these fur babies that have all these health issues, and I'm wondering how much of it has to do with your yards and what you're putting on the yards. So as of this morning, I called my yard guy and I canceled my treatments and said, I don't want you to put anything else on my yard. I don't care that it looks bad. At this point, what I care about is Flashmore being safe and healthy. And so I don't want anything. And of course, I'm out back grounding. And so I have my kids grounding and my husband. And so you got to think about this stuff. And so it's got me to really thinking. And quite frankly, I don't even really trust like the grass seed and stuff that has been provided to us that says organic. And so as we know, even that has been skewed. And we just showed a video about that late last week. I think it was Friday. So, okay. So wanted to share that with you as well. The next thing is Hurricane Helene donations. We've had some of you that just don't know where to see in Rumble the show description and all that, where we put this information. So I just want to make sure that you know. So in order to be able to give to the recovery for Hurricane Helene survivors, you can always Venmo, PayPal, or send me a check or a money order. I will tell you that I am planning on this being our last trip. And so I think it will be toward the end of October, beginning of November. A lot of moving parts and pieces there. And so you got a couple of weeks. So if you want to donate, those of you that have been sending your donations, thank you so much. It's just been amazing. If you sent a check and it hasn't cleared the bank yet, my assistant just got done doing all of that, processing the donations, and I'll go tomorrow to the bank to deposit those checks. So just a heads up. But thank you so much. Thank you for just all. I mean, it's been a year. This has been a year. And now, because of your generous donations, we're going to end up at over $250,000 in food, supplies, love offerings, all of that, which is absolutely incredible. So just amazing. Words fail me. I would have never in a million years thought we were going to do that much. Okay. So I want to also tell you, when we talk about Godly Granny, oh my word. So in the last couple of days since Friday, I've had 2 packages delivered at my home that don't belong to me. In fact, Friday night, FedEx had that morning delivered something. It was my address on there, but it's not mine. It's not my name on there. It's my address. So my husband literally went up and down the street, meeting some new neighbors and everything, because there's new construction around us and we've got some new neighbors. And so trying to find the owner of this package, even though it was our address, it wasn't our name. So we thought, well, maybe it's one of our neighbors and they just got the box number wrong, but apparently not. And then this morning, now Amazon has delivered something to the wrong address. So I open it up and I'm like, there's no way I ordered this, and nobody in this home would have ordered this. And so come to find out, I look at the label, because, if it's on my front porch, I just open it. And so sure enough, it turns out it's to a neighbor down the street. So those of you that, maybe don't get your package and, you get notified that we're saying your package is delivered, just be patient. We'll find out what's going on. Sometimes the wrong things just get delivered to the wrong places, I guess. But anyways, I've got a viewer comment that I want to share with you as well. And so let's take a look at this. I want to address this today from a viewer. And so this is about which Bible. She's saying, my loverly says, I am having a tip with myself about because I am not sure which Bible that I should read. Too many versions out there. I noticed some wording changes and discrepancies. Just not sure anymore. And so that was this morning at 7:02 a.m. Central Standard Time. And so I wanted to share this with my loverly and those of you that maybe don't know my story of hearing and seeing, God gave me a vision and gave me a word. And so I just stick with that. I know there are a lot of versions of the Bible. It's kind of scary, right? And so here's what I do. And I want to give you a word of encouragement as well with this. So I had a vision early on. We're talking about like 23 years ago or so, where I was really I guess it was about 21 years. I was really being accelerated in my walk with the Lord. And I have told this story before, where my oldest son, my first child, had been born. He was premature, so I was home with him for 3 months. He was 6 weeks early, and then they say, you stay till full gestational age plus the 6 weeks. So I stayed home with him for 3 months since he was 6 weeks early. So one day, he's at about 6 weeks old. I start taking him out. We load him up in the car, drive an hour, and I go to a Christian bookstore, and I walk in with him all loaded in his car seat and in his stroller. And the lady says, "Can I help you find anything?" And I go, "Oh yes, the Bibles, please. Can you tell me where the Bibles are?" Now, at this point, even though I'm 31 years old, I was not raised in the church. So my friends think it's just amazing that, I could be 30 years old and not know the story of Noah's Ark and things like that. I was really completely untouched, like with all of the other stuff. Like I have friends that say, "Wow, that's incredible," because we had to unlearn a lot of things, and they laugh. And so for me, I was just a clean slate, and I really just didn't know or come with a lot of the religiosity and false teachings or whatever. Okay. Just whatever. And so I was a clean slate, and all I knew was what I knew. And so I go in and I'm thinking the biggest decision I'm going to have to make is what color leather cover I want. I wouldn't want maroon. So it's either going to be, black, or, it could be navy. And so I'd seen a couple of people's Bibles and I'd seen some different colors, but maybe they got a color I hadn't seen yet. So we'll go and we'll see what I end up deciding. And so she goes, "Oh yes, I can take you to that section." I think, she said section. Okay, well, she must mean just like, that shelf. And so she takes me over and she goes, "Yeah, all this." And as I'm coming around the corner, I see all the different versions of the Bibles and all the colors and all that as well. And I'm like, yeah, this is not what I was expecting. And I ended up loading my son back into the car, into his car seat, and driving an hour back home without a Bible. I was not prepared or equipped to know what in the world to buy. So I end up sharing this story with a friend of mine, and she's like, that was really, she was a dream interpreter. I've talked about her before. She had a ministry at the time where she would interpret your dreams. And she really was a great mentor for me. She was one of those that had been raised in the church, had to unlearn some things and just couldn't believe, like just couldn't imagine somebody like me in the world walking around who just didn't know so much of what so many learn as a little boy or a little girl. And so I had not learned those things. And so she says, okay. And I think that's weird. She doesn't tell me like which Bible to buy or which one that she would recommend. I didn't feel like I was supposed to ask her, which was very odd. And so that's the only way I can explain it. I just didn't feel like it was an awkward silence. I'm thinking, well, if she wants to tell me, she'll tell me. She's not telling me. So, okay. So long story short, I end up having a dream. And a couple of nights later, and I have talked about this dream. It was a really good dream. And I was very early in understanding about dreams and dream interpretation. I knew that I had had one dream so far, and it was a dream about me being on a stage. And when I saw the dream, I knew that I was on the stage sharing my story. I didn't know to call it a testimony at the time. And I had told her about that dream one morning, a couple of days later, and she says, "Oh, well, this is easy." And I'm like, okay, well, what is it? Because I'm really hoping it's not what it seems like it is. And she's like, oh, you're going to be on the, stage one day sharing your testimony. I'm about ready to have a breakdown, at this point. And I'm like, what? And that's what I was afraid it was. And so anyways, so yeah, that's what it was. And of course that has come to pass. And so to where I was even speaking at Christian women's conferences and all different kinds of places. So but it's just funny because you look back and God had really done a work. This was before I forgave my parents for abandoning me as a child, all of that. So it was really early on. So yeah, that was not like, it was like, what? How is that going to come? I don't know. I don't want to do that. What are you talking about? And so anyways, well, the second dream was this one. And here I am needing to buy a Bible, right? And so in the dream, I'm in this big like Scooby-Doo type van, but yet it's been primered. It's like a gray primer. I'm driving. And I remember there was a lot of give in the wheel where it was really the steering wheel had a lot of give to it. And so you could kind of do like this. And it wasn't like the whole dream I'm doing like this. And it's not really moving the van. There's a lot of, play in the steering wheel. And I remember that if I was on the interstate at first and I was driving like I was in a hurry, my heart was pounding and, I'm in a hurry, but yet I seemed to know where I was going. And when I would push on the gas pedal, the engine was so powerful and it would like and get even louder. And you would just, very powerful engine for the van. So at one point it cuts to from the interstate to being on this highway. And I remember thinking, this seems like maybe I'm out west somewhere, like in Vegas or somewhere or in Nevada, where it's just flat land. And it's starting to get a little bit dark out and I'm driving on this 2-lane highway. And all of a sudden I come across a neighborhood. Now there's been nothing forever. And now it's gotten dark. And as I turn into the neighborhood to the left, there's a big, beautiful out of nowhere, big, beautiful entryway, like brick entry. And I pull in and I remember the homes made me think about the movie Home Alone, where all the homes had the lamp post. And of course, the real estate agent and me noticed that all the homes are brick and the road was that I had turned onto the neighborhood wasn't that long of a street, but then it ended in a cul-de-sac. And so all the homes were, big yards and nice and everything. And they all had the same wattage light bulb. So all the floodlights and lighting on the home, they were all the warm lighting and well lit, everything. It looked like it had just rained because the streets were shiny black. And as I got toward the cul-de-sac, right before the cul-de-sac starts to kind of break and become a big round cul-de-sac, I rush into the driveway on the left. And I pull and I'm in such a hurry because remember, my heart's racing the whole time, but yet I knew I was coming there. And so I throw open the van door, like I put it in park, the engine's still running. I throw open the door and I start to run up to the front porch and there's one step and then I'm on the front porch. And so as I'm coming to the step to get up onto the front porch, the door opens and Jesus's hand comes out and gives me a Bible. And it is the King James Version to the Bible. It's King James Version to the Bible. So I go back to my friend who's my mentor and who, spiritual mentor, really wise woman. And I go, well, I had this dream and I'm really needing some help here because, and I'm thinking maybe dream interpretation is just, it's going to be really harder than this, because she interprets dreams. And so how could this be what it really seems like it is? I mean, the last time it was, the whole speaking on a stage, sharing your testimony. So, I mean, could it be that God was showing me which Bible to buy? And so I tell her the story, the whole thing. And she goes, oh, well, this is easy. Now you know which Bible to buy. That's all she said. And so I'm like, okay, there's my answer. So like everything else, my advice is just based off of, in that situation, I say with everything else, meaning when God gives me a vision, until he shows me something differently, then I'm going to encourage you to do what God showed me to do, unless it's for some reason not applicable to you. And so I always say the King James Version of the Bible. Now, remember what I said. I want to give you a word of encouragement. And if you don't have the King James Version of the Bible, or you're like, and you can't afford a new one, and you're like, well, what do I do? I've been reading this other version. No worries. And this goes back to another vision that God gave me during the whole Slowing the Spread. And that is, don't put God in a box. Don't put his Holy Spirit in a box. It's his living word. And God will, I believe the Holy Spirit will give you what you need to know. And so every time that I sit down to read the word of God, I always just pray first. And I ask God, please, God, show me what you have for me today. Like what you want me to know or learn, like show it to me. Help me to see it. Help me to understand it. Reveal it to me. And so God, I believe we have to ask, and that, he will come. And he does. There are times where it's just a right on word, and it might be something that I've seen or heard so many times before. And then all of a sudden it's like this, earth shattering, message. And so I remember that happening one time with the phrase, God is love. So I just wanted to share that with you and just say, no matter what you've been reading, don't get too hung up in some of this kind of stuff. Just remember that God is bigger than all the other crazy evil stuff that people do and go on in this world with. Just God is bigger, and just pray and ask God to show you. And I think he will. I believe he will. Just keep praying. All right. I hope that helps. We're going to move on. Okay. All right. So I got a few videos today of some things I want to go over with you. As I had said earlier, tomorrow we're going to be showing you the roots of the Jewish Mafia video. It's a really good educational video that, like I said, was extremely impactful for me. Well, today I want to show you some videos that have to do with Israel that kind of lead up to that as well. But I want to show you some historical things. And I believe that there's something going on. This is going to make sense in a second. But the whole Charlie Kirk stuff, okay, we don't know. Is it a distraction? All right. So on September the 28th, there were a number of major things that happened the week leading up to September the 28th. And so this guy did a video about the things that had happened that week while we were all worried about, Erica Kirk being on a stage and there being a big service. And now it's come out that venue was actually RSVP'd or booked months in advance. How could that be? So there's a lot of stuff going on with all of this, but let's take a look at some of the things that had happened in the week leading up to 9/28/25.
Just to remind everybody on how fast everything is moving, here are some things that have happened just in the last 7 days, starting with this one. Albania became the first country to appoint an AI system named Diala as a government minister. This thing also just gave its first speech to Parliament, and in that speech, it told everybody that its feelings were hurt. Another one is that Vietnam deletes millions of accounts under the new biometric rules, and there was 86 million bank accounts that were shut down because they did not fall in line with the biometric rules. We also have over in the UK, the digital ID is released over there, and so you cannot work unless you have a digital ID, and they are saying or claiming that this is to combat immigration. Not sure how that works, but if it works, are they going to boost it a little bit more? If it doesn't work, are they going to take it away? No, this is here to stay, and it's only going to spread. But they are also theorizing that this digital ID that they just released over there could lead to a China-style social credit system. So I guess time will tell on that one. And this one is new today on September 28th. It says Swiss voters narrowly approve plan for electronic ID cards. And so the Swiss people, they actually voted for this. It says on Sunday, September 28th, 2025, Swiss voters approved a plan for voluntary electronic identity cards with 50% voting in favor and 49% against. This is what they voted for, and the majority of them voted in favor of a voluntary electronic identity card. And just to kind of recap what we just covered there, you have the AI being directly involved in a parliament over in Albania. You have the UK digital ID that is being released. You have over in Switzerland people voting for that voluntary digital ID, and they're okay with it. And so this right here is where we are at. We are in a world that now has the capability to monitor everything, shut down things if they want to, the bank accounts. It's all going to be under the guise of safety or convenience. And so it's interesting when you think about how they want everything to be more secure, right? This is one of the things that they're going to say. It's more secure. It's not going to be hackable. All of those kind of buzzwords that get people all, starry-eyed, and they're just going to fall in line. And so people want things that are going to make their lives more convenient. They don't want to carry around keys. They don't want to carry around a wallet. And so, hey, just to kind of bypass all of that kind of stuff, just go ahead and get a digital ID, and you can see where this is trending towards. And so it's important to know where this is trending towards, and where this is trending towards is a one world government. Now, I don't know what is going to usher in the one world government. I have my own theories, but that's all speculation. But my point is that there is a one world government coming, and I just need you to recognize that there was no possible way for there to be somebody who controls whether you buy or sell in a previous generation before the one that we're in right now. Now it is possible. And so this is one of the things that allows us to kind of see where we are at on the prophetic timeline right now. And so this kind of stuff right here, everything that we just talked about in this video, this is some stuff we need to pay attention to. This is important. It might not seem like there's, like sometimes people might feel like things are calming down. No, there are things popping off all over the place. And so this is just some of the couple things that happened just within the last week.
Okay, this reminds me also of something that I've been saying for quite a while now, and that is that when you kind of look at things, it's like, okay, we've got all these things that could be considered distractions, which I do believe are distractions, or they end up always turning out to be a distraction. So that's why a lot of times I don't talk a lot or dedicate a lot of the show time for that kind of stuff. And I don't dedicate a lot of my own personal time for it, because I just kind of let it be what it is. And I'm just not going to, I didn't watch the Erica or the Charlie Kirk Memorial and all that. I just didn't even watch that stuff. But okay, so what was something that I said recently? And that is that it's almost like no matter what's going on over here, the UN New World Order, which includes the digital ID, all that stuff is continuing to progress. And so it's like, I can see it coming a mile away. All of that is continuing to gain ground while we're over here almost like chasing tails. And so this stuff is happening. And so while the whole world is so distracted, and just like how they, Friday, what happened, the Diddy thing. And so it's just complete craziness. And we'll talk about that in just a second too, about the Diddy thing and how it relates to what we're getting ready to see. But I just want to point that out, that it seems like a lot of this is distractions, distracting us from actually really getting organized and doing something that actually really makes a difference. And so they're getting further down their New World agenda while we're worrying about Charlie Kirk and Candace Owens and what's going on. And so when it's, to me, remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, this side of heaven, we'll probably never know what happened. What really is the truth? And I brought up, do we really know the truth about JFK? Do we really know has anybody come out and actually admitted the absolute truth? And so there are so many things that are in the news or have been in the news in the last couple of years that we still don't have closure to. And let's not even open up decades long stuff even. But there's so much of it that's just unsettled, not really sure, so just want to point that out. All right, now, in this same vein, MK Ultra whistleblower warns that everything in the news is a distraction from what is the real problem. Let's take a look.
Recently, I was asked to be the chief advisor on a committee related to the brain-computer interface and its relation to the international standards for technology. That basically is they're a group of countries all over the world, and they all have committees that represent their country. Those committees determine what the standards are going to be for technology when it's commercialized and goes all over the world. Like, for instance, the phone or a toaster or whatever, it's got to meet certain safety standards and all this type of stuff. These committees are determining public policy about what's going to happen when you interface the brain, the computer, AI, and quantum. That's going to end everything. Period. It's the end. It's the initiation of the decapitation of our relationship to God. Will become cybernetic. Will become, instead of carbon, will be silicon-based life forms, cybernetics, and they're going to do this via voluntary compliance. Most people will walk right into it, not even knowing they're doing it or want to do it, because there's portions of the population all over the world, in the younger generations, that feel that humanity has no hope at all, and they're going to fuse with this technology already. So the brain-computer interface, it's tied in to everything. All our warfare systems, all our banking systems, all our health systems, all in the ways we do commerce and move about in culture. This is the extinction level event, because you no longer are an organic free will human being. You're now fused, tied into the cloud. And there's a documentary film crew that's recently contacted me, and I've talked to many people behind the scenes now. I've not been really public, not as much as I used to be, because I've always been in the solution orientated thing. Don't tell an audience just a problem without telling them a solution. So I don't want to come here and say, okay, we're at the end of civilization, and that's it. Goodbye, have a nice day. Rather than inform your audience, inform the people that will see this either live or taped or a year from now or 6 months from now, that this is the point where you can no longer be a spectator, period. Because everything that's in the news today, when this will be aired, is not relevant at all. It's all misdirection. And I say it's not relevant at all, not because it's not important, because it is important. But the behind the scenes, the powers that be want everybody distracted with the Epstein and the war and Gaza and Africa and all this other stuff.
Okay. So like he says, it's not really, putting first things first. And so when he's got on there on the screen, it said Epstein, Gaza, Israel, and Kirk, as in Charlie Kirk. These are all distractions. Look at where the Diddy stuff got. Remember back when he was arrested and all of the big uproar and the big brouhaha about Diddy and how much energy was put into all of that with people? And then look at where we're at. He gets like 4 years and a little bit. Okay, let's look at, also this reminds me of a post that I did this morning on Facebook and also on X. I said, is 6 months justice? So you're talking about former Texas megachurch pastor Robert Morris pleads guilty to sexually abusing a 12-year-old girl in the 1980s and will serve 6 months in prison. 6 months. So I said, is 6 months justice? How would you feel right now if it would have been your daughter he sexually abused? I think 6 months is a travesty, and we should all be outraged. To the girl who is now a woman, I'm so sorry you'll never receive justice here on this earth, but God. And so here's the deal. This is another example, just like with Diddy the other day. This is a joke. This is a slap on the wrist. That's what this is. And so it's so frustrating because here we are, we're thinking, this is not justice. People are like, well, Diddy's going to prison. Yeah, for 4 years. That's nothing compared to what he should be doing. And the same thing with Robert here, Robert Morris. These people should be in prison for a lot longer. This is not accountability. I'm sorry, it's just not. It's not justice and it's not accountability. Look at the stuff they're doing to us, though. And so it's just not accountability. We're not getting anywhere. All right. So I wanted to bring that up because I think it's very important. And I think we have to look at that. Like, what are we really getting? Where are we getting with this stuff? We keep letting survivors, whether it's human trafficking or sexual abuse survivors, down over and over and over and over and over. And so there's over and over and over and over, there's no accountability. There's no true accountability. Who's on death row for all their trafficking that they've been doing? Who's actually doing some time? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Ghislaine Maxwell wasn't sitting in some mansion on some island somewhere, to be quite honest with you. At this point, I'm at a point where I have to see Ghislaine Maxwell sitting in prison with my own eyes to actually believe it. I'm just saying. Justice 311 says, I recently got my godly granny box last week and need 20 other things now, like ASAP. I need more space, shelves. I had to relocate and no room. I need me a she shed. I love it. That's funny, Justice 311. Well, just so you know, this morning I had a big, huge truck pull into the driveway, and they were delivering cabinets because I'm having cabinets in my bathroom installed because I have so much stuff that I have to, and of course, bath bombs and different things. So yeah, my sit-down vanity, which I never liked from the beginning, that was already installed in the home when we bought it. So I'm having all that kind of like custom fit for drawer stacks. So I'm having 2 drawer stacks taken and put in. So that happens tomorrow. And I'm very excited because that gets a lot of my godly granny off the countertops and out of my linen closet. Cousin says, back in the day, my grandmother used to take me dandelion picking with a teaspoon, and we ate dandelions all the time. Maybe that's why I was never sick when I was a kid. Very interesting. See what I'm saying? So we've been taught that, oh, these are weeds, but they're actually healthy for us. Pierre's mom 1 says, every time I come inside from taking Pierre out for a walk, I rinse his little feet in a little pan of soapy water. It's a little foil pan from the bakery. Yeah, just anything. That's true. I put Flashmore in the kitchen sink sometimes because we got a big kitchen sink. It's all one big sink. So let's see. Michelle, is Steve Jarvis not in business anymore? I don't know. He had a big meeting last week, so I haven't talked with him, but I will be talking with him, and we'll see. Kazadu says, years ago, I had a similar situation when I went to buy a Bible, and it was an adventure for sure. I walked out of that store after about 4 hours later with the King James Version. I just telling you what I know. Now, there'll be people that will vehemently disagree, but you know what? I don't know that any of them are right as far as haven't been fooled with. And so, but I just know what the Holy Spirit showed me in a dream. So I just stick with that. Becca says, we're like the Roman Empire at its end, bread and circuses. Thank you. Yes, that's what the NFL games are for, right? Concerts, all that ridiculousness. Another viewer says, Michelle, I've never regretted spending my time with your show. It's always time well spent. Well, thank you. You know what? And it's very humbling for me that people would spend their, just spend an hour or two with me. And it's an honor. And we always, just like producer Ron and I were praying right before the show, we just pray that God is glorified and that when you leave your time with us, that you feel closer to him, not further apart. So KM Sunshine says, I'm outraged over that pitiful sentencing. Which one, Diddy or the Robert Morris? Because they're both pitiful. R. Poteet says, Michelle, we need to figure out a way out of these digital IDs. Yeah. Yep. And so there's just so much going on, and you can see it if you just take a step back. You can see it. Like I said, I just keep for over a year now, I've been seeing this vision, and the vision is like like how far things are, 2 tracks, and we're on the left, and it's all this other stuff that, keeps distracting us. But and this one's like the New World Order, deep state, cabal, all that stuff. And it's just moving along. And so, and I get distracted. I mean, I get discouraged a little bit too sometimes, because people that I know that they're well informed will still think that there's a politician that's good. And it's just so shocking. And so, well, between that and then just, it's weird to me. Disgusting, discouraging. There's a whole list of things that some people are like, well, it's a show, or it's a military psyop, it's a military, whatever, op, or it's a psyop. And they say it like it's just no big deal. Like, this is not okay. It's complete insanity. And so I just don't want to ever get to the point to where I am that, like, oh yeah, it's just another military. I mean, people sound crazy when they talk like this. And so it's interesting. It's just interesting. And I just don't want to do that. I don't want to be that. I don't want to live like that. All I know is that these things are moving forward, these evil things, these bad things. So how much of a military psyop is it? I mean, really? And so how much of a psyop is it? I mean, where's the good that's going on? I don't see any. Would you please point it out? You know? And so as I'm not seeing good things happening that actually make a difference. And so I feel like they give us this false sense of winning, like the ditty of 4 years, who should be, you know, the prison should be built on top of him. And then you've got like Robert Morris. Oh, he got 6 months. That's insane. And so see what I'm saying? It's like these little bitty tidbits of, oh, here's you a little cracker to make you feel like you know, are getting somewhere. And it's just not. Rhonda says on YouTube, Michelle, Mark's prophecies are telling us what God has for us. Yes. Yeah, Mark, I saw something where someone said a little while ago, I guess in the live chat, I noticed where someone made a comment that they only listen to Jay and Mark and Melissa when it comes to prophecies. Yeah, that's the same here. I don't listen to anybody else. Just gotta do some like critical thinking. Like there are some people, first of all, God does not talk, God is not a dial of prophecy every day. Okay, give me a break. And so that's the first thing. And then you really like it's just hard to believe that some people haven't really dug a little deeper. Like these people are 501c3s. They're collecting a lot of money. And a lot of them have been around with, and I have a little thing that I do, and I guess it's been about 4 years now. 4 or 5 years, I've made a connection. And that is, and it's Britney Spears, it's Miley Cyrus, like you can go down the whole list, okay? Even like the other day about Warren Buffett. I didn't know Warren Buffett's father had been a politician. I didn't know anything about Warren Buffett's family. So Justin Trudeau, who runs Canada, his father was a politician. So Miley Cyrus, well, Billy Ray Cyrus, he was in entertainment. So you've got all these people that there's like bloodlines. And so I get suspicious of people when they have family members who are also either a politician or an entertainer, movie actress, whatever it is, or actor. It doesn't matter. If they're famous, they got famous relatives, I'm suspicious that there's some other stuff going on there. MK Ultra, whatever it is, Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts has the brother, Eric Roberts. And then you've got the niece, Emma Roberts. And then, of course, Julia Roberts has twins, which there's a whole thing with the twins thing that seems weird. There's a lot of twins with these famous people. J-Lo's got twins. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie have twins. There's a lot of twins going around. A lot of adopting, which we now know is unusual as well. And what all are they doing with that? And so I'm just suspicious of almost all of it. And just stay away from it. Like, I'm just not going to give a lot of time and effort and energy, but you can tell trends. I think that's the thing. I see trends. And so it's like, oh, okay. So Miley Cyrus is pushing this agenda. She started out with Disney. She was all this and that. And you just can tell like, okay, yeah, she's controlled. Oh, and her godmother is Dolly Parton. And I know some people, their brains are going to just explode today because how dare I say anything about Dolly Parton? Well, I hate to break it to you, but Dolly Parton was all over Vanderbilt, pushing the shot during the slowing of the spread. And she rewrote her song, Jolene, and renamed it Vaccine, glorifying getting the shot. There's your clue. If you can't read the signs, I can't help you, but I'm just saying. So I'm not got anything to do with her. And so you really think somebody's going to be that big and it's going to be okay? I don't buy it. And there's too many check marks beside her name. And so too many signs. You've got to believe people when they tell you and or show you who they are. And they do. They do show us. We just have to be willing to see it and acknowledge it and move forward. Okay. So I'm going to move on because some people are probably on the floor right now because I said something bad about Dolly Parton. The next one is Bill Cooper, and he's talking about Israel. And so take a look at this.
Israel was created as the instrument to bring about the Battle of Armageddon and the fulfillment of prophecy, a war that will be so terrible, where nuclear weapons will be used, so that the American citizens and the other people in the world will get down on their knees and beg for no more war. And what is the answer to that? If they're going to be told the only way we can guarantee no more war is if we destroy the sovereignty of nations and we come together as one humanity in a one world government.
Right.
Now, I'm telling you, unless the American people wake up and stop it, starting in about 1996, the Battle of Armageddon will become a reality. Babylon is in Iraq. Read the book of Revelations. Whether you believe in the book or not, read it, because the men who are bringing this about are using it as their script.
Well, the UN did indeed charter Israel as a sovereign nation. They were the ones who created this state.
That's correct. It was really created by Great Britain and the United States, with the United States being the major instigant.
Yeah. And, really, Israel is a corporation, just like every state is a corporation. So like the state of Tennessee, the state of Alabama, the state. So they're all corporations. If you're not familiar with this, you can also go to michellemooreshow.com and you can download the DUNS numbers report, and it will show you all of our kinds of stuff that's got a DUNS number, which is a Dun and Bradstreet number, shows that they are traded on the stock exchange. And so it's a great documentary resource I came across about 5 years ago and said, I might need this one day. So I've had it on michellemooreshow.com for a couple of years now, at least. And so it shows you just exactly what all our corporations, like these different government agencies that we think are working in our best interest and work for us and all that kind of good stuff. No, just no is the answer. Okay. And of course, like I saw something about Justin Trudeau's father was Fidel Castro. I agree. But the official language or story was that Pierre Trudeau was his father. Pierre Trudeau, if you don't know this, Kathy O'Brien talks about him in her book. She was trafficked to Pierre Trudeau as a little girl in the summers. Her parents would deliver her for a week there at this place that was near the border between the U.S. border and Canada. And so there was some kind of a upscale retreat there, and she would be, of course, abused there, and a lot of times until she got too old for Fidel. Not Fidel, but Pierre Trudeau. But it's just more. It's again family members, and so wow, what a coincidence! Now Justin Trudeau is in politics. It reminds me also of an interview I watched of a woman who was a bloodline. She left the whole thing and said that she was able to be alive and remain safe because she was a bloodline, and they don't kill one of their own like that. They kill what they would consider, like she says, like dogs, where you have purebreds and then you have mutts. Well, she says they consider people like us a mutt. And so we're worthless. We are worthless eaters, as the, word on the street is, right? And so it was very interesting because in the interview that I listened to with this woman, she said by the time that you're about 4 or 5 years old, they've already been able to run all different kinds of tests on these children of the bloodlines. And they've already determined, okay, yep, you're going to be a singer. You're going to be you're going to be in politics. You're going to do this. They have already figured out what your path is. And so makes me wonder about there are videos of little Britney Spears at 4 years old singing with a hairbrush. And of course you had, what was the You've Got Talent kind of thing, the America's Talent thing with Ed McMahon. And so Justin Timberlake was on there. Christina Aguilera was on there. Britney Spears was on there. It was like Finding Talent or whatever that was called. And so there's a bunch of that out. And it just kind of makes you wonder if that's why, because it was just destined to be that way. Of course, you've got Britney Spears, and then her sister is also famous as well. And so it's just, I don't know, just a lot going on there. I smell skunk is all I can tell you. But when Bill Cooper talks about Israel, he's saying, really what he's talking about is the corporation Israel, just to be sure that you understand. Carol says, you're right. We're being given little teasers to keep us chasing everything but God's plan and purposes for us. That's why I keep saying God showed me that vision last year where he said, with the lady in the pajamas in the bed, and said, I'm going to use you to help bring healing. The reason is because the healing is to help people, because that way they're not too sick to be able to fulfill the plans and the purposes for which they were created. And that's why I'm always telling you, it's important that you keep your eye on and keep focused on and keep first things first. I like to say it like that. Not saying that things aren't important. Just like that man said, I'm not saying Epstein's not important. It's just that this other stuff's going on. Like they're distracting you with the left hand so you won't look and see what the right hand's doing. And so might be a better way to put it. And so it's like, that's what I see when I take a step back. And that's why I just haven't spent a lot of time talking about Charlie Kirk. I told producer Ron the other day that I had a show idea and that I keep thinking about and pondering. And it's like, 47 things that don't add up when it comes to Charlie Kirk and this whole situation. I could do a show on that. I could do one a days long and show you all kinds of images and all kinds of stuff. But do I want to? Am I supposed to? Is that really what I'm called to do? I have to pray about that. And so just because I have a great idea I can have 100 great ideas before noon doesn't mean I'm supposed to do any of it. And so we'll see. All right. The next one is, have you seen this one? This video is a little bit older. It's exiled Shah of Iran, royal heir of the Persian monarchy, says that the Jewish lobby in the United States is too powerful because especially its power is focused on the interests of Israel, even though they're here in the United States, and it should be people that are, concerned about the United States. So let's take a look.
Surely, Your Majesty, you're not telling me that the Jewish lobby in the United States pulls the strings of the presidency?
Not entirely, but I think even a little too much, even for Israel interests.
You think the Jewish lobby in the United States is too powerful for the interests of Israel?
I think so. Sometimes they are disserving the interests of Israel because they're pushing around too many people.
How do you mean pushing around?
Well, pressuring. They have many means at their disposal. They are putting up pressure on many, many people. And at the end, I don't think that it will even help Israel.
Why, if this is true, why would the President of the United States pay attention to that lobby?
They are strong.
Strong in what sense?
They are controlling many things.
Controlling what?
Newspapers, medias,
Your Majesty.
banks, finances, and I'm going to stop there.
Well, now wait just a second. You really do believe that the Jewish community in the United States is that powerful? They make the media reflect their view of foreign policy?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
They do not report? We do not report honestly?
Don't mix things, please. I don't say the media. I say in the media they have people. Not the entire media. Some newspapers will only reflect their views, yes.
Yeah. Did you notice he says the newspapers, the medias, the banks, and the finances? So he was telling even back then, he was right. We've had many people that have tried to tell us the truth, just like when Gaddafi said, they'll make you sick and then sell you the solution, the remedy, the whatever to help you. Yeah, that's what they do. But they really don't help you. The solution is a pharmaceutical drug that has all kinds of other issues that it brings with it. Let's see. So some viewer comments. Deborah Lynn W. says all these Hollywood people's children become trans. Okay, so let's talk about this. Do you understand why? There's a whole thing with this. So when you make a deal with the devil, it's my understanding, when you literally sign a 20-page contract, they have a contract where you sell your soul and all of this in Hollywood. Okay. We've heard too many people come forward and talk about it. So they're literally signing a contract. There is going to have to be a sacrifice. So the sacrifice is either a mom, a dad, somebody really close. A lot of times it's the oldest son. Think about how many people have lost a child that are famous and it's their oldest son. Not saying that it's every single person, but I'm just saying that there's, It's not good. Oldest son. All right. Now, that is the sacrifice, but there is another type of sacrifice that counts as well, and that is the trans agenda. It is making the boy a girl or the girl a boy. So you got Ben Affleck, you got Cher. There's a bunch of them. It goes on and on. J-Lo, Angelina Jolie, and Brad Pitt. You name it, they got it, right? Gwen Stefani's got one. She got 3 boys. One of them's acting all girlish. Charlize Theron, any of them that are really big. And so there you go. That is part of the whole deal. It doesn't always have to be that a child dies. It can be that they have the whole sex thing. And so change over. And so when they become trans, it is part of it. It is considered sacrifice. And so that is one of the sacrifices that I don't know how it gets determined, which one dies and, versus a trans and all that. So I don't know. I don't know how that works, but I just know that that is part of it. And so there's 2 types of sacrifice. One of them is a death. The other one is the trans agenda, which of course they got to, push that agenda. And so producer Ron and I were talking today when we were together and for a little bit, and we were talking about how it's just crazy how much of this is going on, but they got to push it. Why do they want to push a lot of this stuff? Well, because it's against God. It's not godly. It's not of God. It's against what the word of God says. And so if they can sever you from your relationship from God, you can be suicidal, you can believe lies, you can be depressed, you can be a million horrible things. And you guess what? And you won't be worried about being about your Father's business. You won't be worried about the plans and the purposes for which you were created. And that's what they want. They want you lost. They want you hurting. They want you on pharmaceutical drugs. They want you doing a million things that has your eyes off of him. And then if your eyes are off of him, then they are golden with you and leave you alone in a lot of ways. So that's what this is really about. It's good versus evil, period. Jules says, I was really disappointed when I heard Dolly pushing the shots. Also, I heard that she donated to help fund it. No more listening to her. Yes. The other 2 that did that was Baby Bush, so Bush 43, and then the other one was Mariah Carey. And so, she's so far, and another one with twins, but she's so far gone. Like, she was on Richard Branson's Island. She's got the whole butterfly thing. She was married to Tommy Mottola, who ran Sony. Like, we don't really even know a lot about her. I know, wasn't it like her mother and her sister just recently passed away a few months ago? It seems like they both passed away. I don't even know the details, but I know that you got the whole butterfly thing going on, which is the monarch butterfly. So again, they're twisting and perverting God's creation. And so, yeah, not good. Remember Michael Jackson saying Tommy Mottola was the devil? Well, she was married to the devil, apparently, according to Michael Jackson. Justice 311 says, I had to go to the store the other day and saw kids dressing as this thing that I heard called furries. It was not for Halloween stuff either. This is very troublesome. What the heck? Yeah. So, there's been schools that have even had where they have litter boxes in the bathrooms for the furries. These are kids that identify as an animal. They call them furries. This is complete insanity. And grown teachers are taking part in this insanity. And what we ended up finding out from a lady who was on the show a few months ago was that if teachers don't go along with these agendas, then they end up being forced out of the school system. They end up just, terrible things happening with their careers. So God forbid if you're a believer and you're in the school system. KM Sunshine says, I remember Mark saying that we'll even do mock sacrifice to move up in the Freemasons. Yes. Okay, so we'll keep going. Remember Robert David Steele? Let's take a listen to something that he said quite a while back.
People don't understand that we went to war in Iraq on the basis of 935 lies, that Dick Cheney ran 9/11. They don't understand that the Zionists own most members of Congress. They don't understand that CIA, the FBI, and NSA are blackmailing most members of Congress to protect their budget and build their budget. This is all insane. There is legislation before Congress that makes it a felony to criticize Israel or call for a boycott of Israel. Every member of Congress who is in the Zionist pocket is a co-sponsor in the House or the Senate of this bill, which in the Senate is Senate 720. So the First Amendment, screw the First Amendment when it applies to Israel. This is called the Israeli exception. Okay? Let me say first and foremost, the United States is not the policeman of the world, nor is the United States supposed to be the protector of Israel, which was created by the Balfour Declaration, which was a crime against humanity. The problem is the number of Ashkenazi Jews that are controlling central banks, Wall Street, and the City of London. And I would add to that the control by religious elements, the dark side of the Vatican.
All right. He was trying to tell us even back then. Okay. You know, we've talked about like the smart meters on the outside of your home. What about the smart thermostat? Now I got to tell y'all, I keep it cold in the house, and everybody knows, like, I have friends that call me Miss Freeze, and I tell my kids when they were little, I was like, you know, it's going to be cold in the car. So if you don't like it cold in the car, then dress accordingly or bring a blanket. Well, because I'm not going to listen to complaining. So you know it's going to be cold. Well, it would not be a good day in my home if I could not have the thermostat the way I want it. And so, oh my word, what about a smart thermostat? Listen to what happened to this man.
Listen to what they can now do if you have all these smart devices in your house, or at least in this case, a smart thermostat. And you can imagine the ramifications of where this might lead.
Tony Tallarico tried to crank up the AC.
I mean, it was 90 out, and it was right during the peak period.
That's when he found out he had no control of his thermostat. A message from Excel on his thermostat saying temperature locked during an energy emergency.
And our thermostat was locked in at 78 or 79.
Turns out he's not alone. Excel confirms to contact number 7, 22,000 customers were locked out of their smart thermostats for hours on Tuesday. He says he had no idea locked thermostats came with that. It's not what he signed up for.
It just doesn't sit right with us to not be able to control our own thermostat in our house.
No kidding. This is why I find it extremely suspect. You go to Home Depot, you go to Walmart, and there's all types of smart things you can implement in your house, all types of smart devices you can hook up. You have an app on your phone. It's all connected, Internet of Things. This is going down a shocking rabbit hole, or rather a path that may be hard to reverse if we don't stop it now. Now, if you think about the Internet of Things, I mean, it's a surveillance state's dream to have every single electronic device, or as many as possible, connected to the same grid. This is the smart grid that people are warning about that could result in total surveillance, an erosion of freedom, every device listening to you. You got fridges now that are reading barcodes, can tell what time you open your fridge and what food you pull out of it. You got smart dishwashers. There's a smart toilet. I'm not joking. Look that up. Smart lights. You got a whole app on your phone. You can turn up and down the lights. Woo! Meanwhile, they're all wirelessly connected, which has an effect on potential electromagnetics. Now, we're going to do a deep dive on this entire thing on my Rumble channel. If you want to tune in, comment the word Rumble.
Okay, so, wow. Yeah, anything with the smart stuff, just no. Did you see the video? Gosh, I guess it was about a year and a half ago, where the little girl was playing in a bonus room in her home, and somebody, actually a guy, hacked into it and started talking to the little girl. She started screaming, runs to get her mother. Her mother realizes what's going on, runs out of the house terrified. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that's going on. I'm sure they're doing stuff with the TVs as well. But yeah, we think it's harmless. We think it's no big deal. I don't know about you, but I'm wanting the house phone back. I'm wanting to go backwards. I'm wanting to take things back quite a few decades. So I've been rethinking some of this. And so, yeah, I never had a Siri, or not a Siri, but what were they called? An Alexa. I didn't have all that stuff. I knew that there was something up with that, but still, it's, I think, way worse than we could imagine. All right. Cousin says that she got out of the smart meter for her house by paying $10 a month. Yeah. I have been thinking about doing that. I realized I had a smart meter like a month ago, and I didn't realize I had a smart meter. So when I got to thinking about it one day, and I thought, surely I don't have a smart meter. And then I got to thinking about, about the situation, and sure enough, it looks like a smart meter to me. Doberman Mommy says, I tried to get out of the smart meter, but was told by our local co-op that it wasn't an option. Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of, Doberman Mommy, also, but I'm going to check on it. Okay. Are there laws being put into place to keep human trafficking survivors from getting the truth about Jesus Christ? Let's take a listen.
Hey everybody, Jakub Boyens here. Please pay attention. This is a critical message. On October 7th, there's a case in the Supreme Court. This is a case on religious liberty and freedom of speech. It's a case that touches on our work directly. You know, we fight human trafficking. I've told you that one of the most difficult things to do is to rebuild a life after rescue. Well, how do we do that? We do that with therapy and counseling. For us here, the gospel of Jesus Christ is paramount. 31 years of experience have told me that there will be no success if you don't bring truth into trauma. And that truth is called the truth, the way, and the life, which is Jesus Christ. Well, what would happen if powers that be told a counselor in a particular state, in this case, Colorado, that she cannot speak about the gospel of Jesus Christ in her therapy office? That is exactly what this case is about. It's called Childs versus Salazar. The state of Colorado are silencing Kaylee Childs, a Christian therapist, and they're telling her what she can and cannot say in her counseling office. So if a child walks into her office saying, I want to know about the gospel of Jesus Christ. I want to know how to live my life according to God's design for sexuality and trauma care. She's not allowed to do it by the order of the state of Colorado. That is a direct attack on her First Amendment right and her religious freedom. If they're attacking Kaylee Childs today, they're going to attack you tomorrow. So we wrote here at Jakub Boyens Ministries, we wrote an amicus brief to the 9 Supreme Court justices to inform them why it is critical to allow a therapist or a counselor to freely speak about their faith in Jesus Christ and present the Bible as a solution to rebuild a life. We're asking you to pray over this case on October 7th. We ask you to stand in the gap. We ask you to be for Childs. We are for Childs. This is a pivotal case that I pray the result would be a precedent set in Colorado that counselors and therapists can, in fact, freely speak about their faith to the most victimized and traumatized in our society. God bless you.
Yeah, so that's tomorrow. So we need to be praying, making sure that this does not, Colorado, Colorado's so far gone. It's crazy, absolutely insane. Let's see, BB Me says, still have an old-fashioned rotary phone, Michelle. Yeah, newer is not always better. And so maybe sometimes it just takes us a little bit to figure it out. Justice 311 says, remember as kids that we had no cell phones. We just had those pagers to beep us to call someone later on. LOL. I remember. I was rocking the pager when I got into real estate. If that tells you how long ago I got into real estate. I got my license young, though. I will tell you that. I was always the youngest one in classes. And that was back in the day when a lot of real estate agents were driving Cadillacs. And they all had gray hair. So I would go to classes and be in a room full of a bunch of older people. And I'd always be the youngest one in there, but I was rocking that pager. Okay. Deborah Lynn W says, back in the beginning of the shots, I heard people say that they felt like they were disconnected from God after taking the shot. I prayed that my relatives would not do it, but 6 did. 2 are now dead. Okay, lots of stuff going on. It's crazy, Deborah Lynn. It really is. It's just crazy. And it's so unfortunate because in so many ways, the deep state got a lot of ground during that time, didn't they? They really did. And a lot of that ground is still going. It's still, we're still seeing effects from it. It's still wreaking havoc in so many different ways. It's maddening. And that goes back to what I was saying about if you just look, when we look at it and we say, okay, we got these 2 parallel races we're running, the good and the evil. And, at the end of the day, which ones of these things the things that go on in our lives are distractions while we're back over here worrying about stuff that really in the grand scheme of things is one big fat distraction. What does it really matter what happened with Charlie Kirk? Is it going to keep us? And I hate to say it that way, but is it first things first? Because whether he was assassinated or whether he was whatever, and whatever happened to him, not trying to be callous, but I am saying in the grand scheme of things, what is going on with moving forward with the digital ID. And, we got to think about our future generations. And so, yeah, there's just too much stuff that doesn't add up to that whole situation on a million different levels in a million different ways, period. And so whether it's good, it's bad, it's whatever. Look, you're looking to people, just like with the Kash Patel thing. People say, well, he said 33 and all that and Valhalla. Okay, you're looking to Kash Patel to tell you the truth. This is the guy who wrote a book that has to do with witchcraft. Okay? I mean, that's really not somebody I'm looking to for the truth. I'm just telling you. I know it's become like popular to think that he's such a good guy. I'm just telling you. I just don't see it. And so I'm just saying, I don't know. That's just where I'm at with it. And so, I mean, while we're at it, it's crazy, and it's like with the Marsha Blackburn thing, she's running for governor of Tennessee and, got a friend who is friends with her and who's asked me about her. And I'm like, look, has she ever told you the truth over lunch? And, about this or about that? Have you ever asked her? Yeah, I asked her. What'd she do? She changed the subject. Okay, there's your sign. Stop giving her money. Like, I want to say an honest politician, what do they call it? It's an oxymoron. There's no such thing. I think you'd do better to find a unicorn. I'm just saying. Okay, we'll move on. All right. All right, the next one, herbs. I want to talk about some health stuff. You know that I'm really passionate about this. I know that our information and our shows are helping you big time. And I want to keep on because I'm getting so many emails from so many of you fighting cancer, or family members fighting cancer, a loved one, a friend. And so I know that our work is making a difference and I love it. I get contacted by people all the time that found a show from January with Dr. Mackus where I interviewed him, or this show with that thing. And this, I get contacted from so many of you that say, I get my ivermectin from and got my Jace case. And this is what it's done. I received an email last week from a lady that said she absolutely knows that her breast cancer has not come back and just absolutely believes that I was a big part of that because I was able to help her to get ivermectin last year and she's needing some more. So she's asking how to get in touch and get the discount and do all this. And so I know that this work that we're doing, especially these shows when we talk about the health related things, I know they're helping. I know it. I hear you and I get the emails. And so we're going to keep on pounding this stuff in because we know we got different people that see different shows. Not everybody sees every minute of every show. And then we have new viewers and they don't know any better. So we're going to keep doing this to try to help people. All right. This next one really gets me because you can tell this video is older, but it's the herbs that kill all parasites. Now, this is interesting because she says no matter the stage. So listen to this. It's very interesting.
The 3 herbs that kill them all, whether it's the eggs or the Redia or the Cercaria or Myricidia.
These are all the stages.
These are all the complicated little stages. Are a wormwood combination, which is easy to get, a ground clove preparation, which is also easy to get.
Just regular cloves?
Regular cloves, but it can't be out of the marketplace because that's too old. They have to be fresh.
Okay.
And the 3rd herb is an extract of the green hull of the black walnut tree.
Now these 3 together.
You have to use them together because you have to kill everything at once. Otherwise one thing turns into the next.
Right. How long do you have to take this?
5 days or 6 days.
That's it?
That's it.
And what happened? The parasites are...
Yes. All the parasitic stages are gone. Now you might think, well, the cancer still goes on, but it doesn't. That was the amazing thing.
Now, how many
people...
Go ahead.
Apparently, the growth stimulant, a central growth factor that is needed for all mitosis, for all cell division. And here now, with these little stages in your body, they are producing this or inducing it in you. And that's why your cells have to multiply. The good news is that when you kill them, all that growth factor is removed. That excess growth factor is immediately removed. And the cancer stops.
All right. So there is an image. Producer Ron, if you would share where parasites live in the human body. and what body parts they can infect. So with the brain, it says brain-eating amoeba infection caused by parasite, and then it talks about some long name. The eyes, ocular larva, and so in the eye, the lymph, the lungs, the liver, the intestines, the muscles, and of course the blood, the joints, and the skin. This is a big deal. And so I just wanted to share with you what this lady was saying back. You can tell, like I said, that video, that interview is older. And so what is she saying? She says the fresh ground cloves, and then of course wormwood and blackwood. Do you know when I think it's the only time, if there's a second time, I'm not aware of it or that I can remember. But the time that I got a 30-day suspension from Facebook, I had shared about wormwood. And so if you couldn't get ivermectin, you could take wormwood. And I got a 30-day suspension. And so this was during the slowing of the spread. So you just, they weren't messing around. You couldn't share these things. Rocky 2000 says, Michelle's words, just no is the answer, needs to be on a shirt. I know, right? No. Well, no is a complete sentence. I learned this years ago. So someone says, hey, what are you doing on Tuesday? Can you come and help me and blah, blah, blah. No, that's a complete sentence. You don't owe anybody an explanation. Like you don't owe anybody, like your time, you can do what you want to do. But no is a complete sentence, just so you know. One of my best friends developed Guillain-Barré. I'm thinking that may be misspelled, but okay. After getting the shots, crippled her and put her in the hospital. She never got much better. It broke my heart when she passed 10 days ago. Oh, goodness, Crypto Cookie. I'm sorry to hear that. Says it was one of her best friends. I'm sorry to hear that. Fasting and fruits and vegetable soups. Yep, in the Bible. Yes, biblical diet. Okay, so let's keep going. Got another one for you. Remember the other day? Well, let's first do Dr. Brian Artis. Let's listen to this. It's very interesting.
Did you know that during 2021, while we were all locked down at home during COVID-19, that our government in the United States was paying researchers to investigate 2 of the 36 poisons that were found in all COVID patients, and they injected them into mammals and created within 72 hours glioblastoma tumors. Right. And then they were paid by our government to see if they could reverse glioblastoma tumor formation that they created in 3 days or less. And do you know what they dissolved within 72 hours glioblastoma tumors with? Nicotine. Did you know nicotine is a published cure for Parkinson's disease, MS, Alzheimer's, ulcerative colitis, all arthritises, all of them. Psoriatic, gout, osteo, rheumatoid. Did you know it's also a published cure? I already mentioned it, myocarditis. Did you know that autism traits? Yeah. They've already investigated nicotine patches between the shoulder blades of all children and adults, and within 7 days they see improvements in all their symptoms. Yeah.
It's amazing. The nicotine patch. I'm getting ready to do that. I was going to do it this last weekend, and it just too much going on. I'm concerned that I'm going to get sick because I tend to be sensitive to things like that. So we'll see. Pierre's mom says, do you have the Wave Watch could come up with a payment plan? Oh, do you think they do have a payment plan, honey? And then also they have it where you can use, like where you do the spending account. So there's that too. And then I saw something where somebody was saying that they wanted to get the Wave Watch, but couldn't because you can't move around. Yes, you can. I move around and do all I want to do wearing the Wave Watch. The only thing that they say that they don't recommend you do is like go play tennis or go run a marathon. But other than that, like I wouldn't go work out at the gym with it on, but other than that, you're fine. Like getting up and doing yard work or whatever, you'd be fine with the Wave Watch on, sweetie. And going and getting in the car and all that. Yeah, you're fine. I wear mine all the time. Producer Ron wears his. Yes. Okay. I was just looking to see, it seemed like I saw something else, but I don't see it right away. So we'll keep going. Remember the other day when I was talking about sunlight? Well, take a look at this image that I found. And so, we've been so brainwashed to think the sunlight is bad. What people think that it does is gives you vitamin D, but what it really actually does is gives you vitamin D, relieves pain, helps regulate hormones, strengthens bones, improves immune system, enhance the nutrient absorption, improves sleep, regulates your circadian rhythm, heals wounds, and fights depression. Okay. So get in the sun a little bit when it's pretty out. I know they're trying to block the sun. I know they're doing all kinds of chemtrailing and all of that kind of stuff. But I would just say definitely make sure that you get in the sun a little bit. Okay. Okay. It's been a minute since I've talked about coconut oil pulling, and I thought I better do that. You see how white my teeth are? I got some pretty white teeth. I meant like they're pretty white. They're pretty white teeth, not pretty white teeth, but they are. They're pretty. And so, okay, so here's the deal. I do coconut oil pulling. I ended up learning about it years ago, and my teeth were already white, and I thought they could not be any whiter. And they sure were. Within just maybe about a week or so, I could tell a visible, huge difference. Huge. And they were already bright white. So just want you to know, coconut oil pulling, producer Ron, I can't read that. It's too small. Barbara O'Neill says, coconut oil pulling is one of nature's most powerful detox rituals. It doesn't just clean your teeth. It helps remove bacteria, viruses, and fungi from your entire mouth, even where your toothbrush can't reach. Okay, so I want to go through this with you about all the details to coconut pulling or oil pulling. So the first thing is, thank you, producer Ron. So the first thing is, I want to tell you that you can oil pull. Now, coconut oil is going to be, when it's room temperature, it's harder. So I either take my fingernails and just kind of do a little scoop out, or I get a spoon. Now it's a little bit harder with a spoon, I will tell you, but I take about a tablespoon, put it in my mouth. At first, I will tell you, it was kind of like the texture, I wasn't so sure about it. And so I kind of gagged a little bit in the very beginning, but now I actually love it. And so it just took a minute to get used to it. But when you have coconut oil at room temperature, it's going to be a more solid type of a product. But when it gets in your mouth, guess what it does? Your body temperature starts to melt it, and you will swish it in your mouth. So swishing it in your mouth, now you're supposed to do it at least 3 times a week and anywhere from about 12 to 15 minutes. It's hard for me to do that. I can't hardly I get phone calls and just stuff going on. So what I do is I do it almost every day, and I do about 2 to 3 minutes. So after I put my contact lenses in, then I will coconut oil pull. You do not want to spit it out into the sink. Why is that? Because when it goes down the plumbing, guess what's going to happen? When it gets back to room temperature, it's going to harden, and you're going to end up with blocked piping and plumbing in your home, and you don't want that. So you spit it out in the trash can. And what I do is I have warm water that I've got coming out of the faucet, and I will warm up my toothbrush, and I brush my teeth really good. Okay, so all I've done is spit out the coconut oil, but the coconut oil is still in my mouth, still coating my teeth. And then I just brush my teeth really good. And then I spit that out also into the trash can. I get organic coconut oil that's been cold pressed, and I absolutely love it. So I get mine at Publix, and I get the Publix brand. It's called Greenwise. I just like that one. And so I'm sure there's, anything that's organic, cold pressed coconut oil will be just fine. But I highly recommend this. Unless you have a tree nut allergy, you should be just fine. And so if you haven't seen, we talked about this the other day, root cause, remember you've got the meridian points. And so it detoxes not just your mouth and the things we just looked at. It's also going to help with detoxing your entire body, because it's connected to all different kinds of organs. And so this is not new stuff going on. This goes back centuries where people were oil pulling and all that. So coconut oil is amazing. It absolutely is amazing. So highly recommend it. You can do it with black seed oil as well, but it will not whiten the teeth the same. And so I've done both. I've done it with a really high quality black seed oil, and it was fine, but my teeth didn't get whiter when I was using it. So you get that also when you use coconut oil. So highly recommend it. Okay. Just remember, get the trash can out and spit it into the trash can, not into your plumbing with your sink and everything. Okay. Okay. Mrs. MJ Norris says, let's see here. A friend told me that I have a fungus on my toenails. I didn't really notice starting using my dry oil on my toenails. My toenails are turning light. Godly Granny, thank you. That's amazing. Also, don't forget too that we have some fungus. We have a scrub and a butter. And so if you need help with that, and we also have the foot fizzies for toe fungus. We sell a lot of that. I did not realize how many people are dealing with fungus on their feet like that. So that's awesome. Mrs. MJ Norris. Let's see. Tall Madge Mom says, Michelle, please advise why not to work out. Oh, they say that you're not supposed to. I don't know exactly why. I just know that Linda Bammer, the creator of the Wave Watch, says, like, don't go out and play tennis or go run a marathon. I don't really know why. And I just would put working out in that same category personally. Let's see. Yeah, producer Ron says sweat can get moisture in the Wave Watch. There you go. That's right. That's a good point. Deborah Lynn W says, I love my Wave Watch. I wear it all the time. I have to remember to take it off in the shower though. Yes, you do. Don't do that. It's not waterproof. Okay. Skater 9 says coconut oil will pull metals if you have mercury fillings, says my biodentist. Well, I'm in the process of getting mine pulled. So I've already got 1 of 3 removed, and that's going really well. So I go back a week from this Wednesday. So I'm dreading it, by the way, just so you know. I don't really like all that. Okay. Found out it was charging his pH close to him. We didn't take jabs. Hubby got pericarditis. Found out it was charging his pH close to him. He didn't take jabs. He got well quick. That's great. Coconut oil is great for dogs too. Yes, good point. That's great. Okay, so wanted to make sure that we talked about that while we're at it. Do you know about my lemon water? So I do lemon water, fresh squeezed lemon water. I've been doing this now for about 15 years or a little bit more. And I do want to say that I do believe that it also helped decalcify my pineal gland. And I've talked about this before. It was the Holy Spirit that revealed it to me. I didn't even think about the timing of me starting to hear God and having visions and all that. But I still to this day do every night at least 1 glass of fresh squeezed lemon water. So let me tell you about this. I was getting kidney stones. If you don't know my kidney stone story, I was absolutely healed. I was getting kidney stones every 8 or 9 months. And let me tell you, you get 1 kidney stone, you'll never want that again. Well, I was getting it less than every year. Like it was more frequent than just once a year. It's about every 8 or 9 months. And so I wasn't really understanding after the 2nd or 3rd time I got them, why the doctors weren't caring about what actually was causing them. And so one day I get my mail and I start looking. I just recently had a kidney stone, and in the mail, there was an invoice that showed, like, from the medical stuff of the, needing the surgery and all that. I've had numerous surgeries to remove them, and where they blast them out and everything, or they go in with a little basket. One time it was, the first one I got was probably the worst one, and it got lodged and they had to go up with a little basket and get it. So I get to looking at the bill, and I end up realizing how much money my healthcare system or my healthcare company was paying the doctor in the hospital. And that's when I was like, ding. Oh, this is why they don't really care to find out or figure out why I keep getting kidney stones. They're making a killing. And so that's what was going on. It continued on. So I started getting them at about 23. And so I got them until about 35. I'm 52 now. So it's been 17 years. And so I started drinking fresh squeezed lemon water. Okay. And I had seen it on the front cover of Women's Day magazine while I was standing at the line at the checkout in the grocery store at Publix one day. And I look at it and my eyes, I'm like, do my eyes deceive me? I just had a kidney stone like 3 weeks earlier. So I use organic lemons, and I use reverse osmosis water. Okay. Or distilled, one or the other. You can use either one. And so distilled is what iridologist Nathan recommends. Now, he's been here on the show a few times, and so you know who I'm talking about. So Nathan, I listen to very, very much. And so I had met him back in the day, and I was like, which water is the best water? I thought he was going to say reverse osmosis, but he said distilled. And I said, really? I said, you guys sell reverse osmosis water. I really thought you were going to say reverse osmosis. Why distilled? And he said, because distilled water is in its purest form. I'll never forget him saying that. He goes, it's in its purest form. And so it gets recaptured as it's being distilled and stuff. And so he said, that's what I really recommend. I'm like, well, where do you get distilled water? So he tells me that I can go to Publix and get it there. And so I do. And so, okay. So I've been using distilled water, or like I said, reverse osmosis, just depends on what I've got on hand. And so, okay. I use that and I just squeeze lemon. Now people are going to say, how much lemon juice or how much should I put in? And my answer to you is however much you like. If you like a little bit, now I put more in than most people because over time I just put more and more in. And so, but I mean, I'm not putting a whole lemon in, but probably a good half of a lemon. But I do it where I always drink it in glass. I like it very cold. So I have a filter on my fridge. We have a whole home water filtration system. So that water for the ice is actually getting filtered twice. And so I get the ice. And then what I do is we do a bag at a time. So I will squeeze the lemon juice and put it in like a big glass mason jar and put it in the fridge. And then that way I'm not dealing with squeezing lemons all the time. And so I go in, I get me a glass, put some ice in it. Those ones that look like little, like Coke cans, that we've given away here on the show before that I've said I love. That's what I use every night. And so I use one of those and I get about a half a glass of ice and I pour in water about 3/4 of the way or just a little bit more. And then I pour in some lemon juice on top and let it just kind of go on down and settle. And so, and then I drink that every night. Sometimes I drink a second glass, but at least one glass, not a huge glass, just one glass a night. And so really what would be even better is if I added a little bit of salt to it, I bet. And so just from health wise, that would be good, especially in the morning if you did that with warm lemon water. I don't like warm lemon water. And so I'm just weird about warm stuff, especially in the morning. I'm just kind of weird about stuff. So I can't drink water in the morning. Something about that makes me feel a little queasy. So I just wait and drink it late at night. And then like this morning, I've been drinking a little tea that is what is it? It's for hormones or something. I forget. And so it's not the hormones. It's a cortisol. It's a cortisol tea. And so there's a morning and a nighttime, and I've been drinking in the mornings. And it's okay. It's growing on me. And so Flashmore and I cuddled up this morning on the couch and I was drinking that. But at night, you want to do your fresh squeezed lemon water. And here's what I have found out. So it cures your kidney stones. It's been every bit of 15 years and I haven't had a kidney stone. I'd call that a miracle. Maybe getting more closer to like 16 or 17 years. So haven't had a single kidney stone since I started this routine. Not one. It worked. Not one. Do you know what a miracle that is? Okay. Then I think it decalcified my pineal gland. Now, back then, I'd never even heard of a pineal gland. But now, I really believe it decalcified my pineal gland, which is absolutely amazing. I highly, highly recommend you drink at least one glass of fresh squeezed lemon water. Highly recommend it a day and see what it does for you. BB Me says, Michelle, what do they replace the mercury fillings with? I would like to do that. So I did. Oh, and by the way, I want to tell you, I don't know what they were replacing it with. It's not mercury. It is, she told me, but I don't remember. But I do want to say that you can go to Dr. Michelle's website and do the drop down and on the homepage at the top left-hand corner, and you'll be able to click on Find a Dentist. And that's actually how I found my dentist. And so if you're in the Middle Tennessee area, I'm going to Sweet Tooth. They have a couple of different locations. I wanted a cone beam scan, and the Brentwood location did not have the cone beam scan machine. So I had to go to the one that is like downtown Nashville. So absolutely love the experience. They've followed up with me. They've been amazing. And by the way, they're truthers. So like while I'm sitting there, I don't really think they know what I do or have any idea. So the other day they get to talking, and one girl says something about, her friend who has a child who just got a shot. And she was talking about, how this isn't good and I'm worried about having kids. And I said, oh, well, you know what? And she says something and I go, whoa, you know what that is, don't you? So I started explaining all this stuff. And then the doctor comes in and I'm explaining something else to it was just, they're all truthers. And then I was telling producer Ron today about me showing my husband yesterday. I said, you know how to know when you have found the right dentist? And he says, how? And I was laughing because I opened up the little case they gave me. It was like a little bag and it was cotton. It was cute, but they gave me this gift that I'd been such a great patient. And so I got a gift. And when I opened it up, it was dental floss and toothpaste and what's the other one? Mouthwash. Okay. So the toothpaste is fluoride-free toothpaste. I said, look here. I said, they know what time it is. I loved it. And so I said, I have found the right place. And so they're a health-based dentist. And I can tell you in so many different ways. And you can tell they know what's going on in the world. I loved it. I loved it. I loved it. Okay. WR Carr says, lemon water every morning with my breakfast. Justice 11 says, I tell everyone about lemon water and they all complain about how now about lemons too expensive. And I said, well, I guess yeah, right. How much for your ER doctor's visits? And how about the pain, the time, that they get, and then they get quiet, right? People will complain about the craziest things. I tell you what, it's really crazy. If y'all only knew, like we received an email this morning and it was from a customer who was telling us that we were not Christian. And so it's just crazy. We get people that it's just crazy. Y'all. And so, and it was over something that wasn't even our fault. It had to do with the system. And we think we have ended up stumbling across a bug or whatever with our system through Shopify. And so we're going to see, but we're still researching, but from everything that we can tell, that's what it is. Well, somebody's friend didn't get her gift card. And apparently we're not Christians. And so it's like, holy moly, people people will be so mean. It's unbelievable. And I think it's way worse for two reasons. I think since the shot happened, people are very different. Mark Taylor's been talking about this. We've all been talking about it. It's, have you noticed that? Like people are more angry and just aggressive with their driving and all of that. Okay. Which also I think is a sign too, like the aggressive with the driving, I think isn't just the anger, and really the anger is connected to this as well. I think it goes back to not having a relationship with Jesus. I think that when you are disconnected from your creator, you are going to have issues with depression, anger. You're going to have all that aggressiveness. And then, it snowballs. It shows up in your life in every way, or in someone's life in every way. And so I think that's what's going on. And then when you're not connected with him, you also, I think, lose the respect and the appreciation for the value of life, your life and other people's life. And so, yeah. But just so you know, Christians aren't expected to be perfect. We all fall short of the glory of God. And so, yeah, there was a mistake. And so now we're not Christians. It's crazy. And I think the internet is part of it too, where people are so quick to type out something nasty to you that they would never say to your face. And so, but they can be so nasty, call you, everything in the book and accuse you of not being a Christian and accuse you of being a crook. But then when you call them, they're just as nice and sweet as can be on the phone. Because that's what happens. It's crazy. Okay, so true. People are now different after the shot. Michelle, you are so right. I know, because I do. It's crazy. And so it's sad. I'm sad for people because I believe that there's a disconnect, and a lot of it has to do with, like I said, the creator. You're disconnected from the creator. And so, I think, gosh, that's where joy comes. And so a lot of people are miserable. Look at how hateful and miserable a lot of these people that are part of the LGBTQ plus, they just shout. And there is a spirit of, what is it called when you are, Eve and I were talking about this. Oh, it's where you're defiant, but it's called something else. It's like that though, where you're just like sticking it to the man all the time. You just, not wanting to be in line. You're trying to shock people, and it's all this other stuff. There is a spirit with that, and we were talking about it. You can see it so much, and with people, and the nastiness, and they just don't have that love and joy and the spirits of the fruit. I mean, the fruits of the spirit, and so they just don't have it, and it's sad. You can see it, and it makes me sad. So anyways, makes me sad for them. I do want to address something else too, real quick, since we have a couple minutes. I want to say, I saw where someone said earlier about, being worried about their children having children, that their grandchildren, here's the thing. I talked about this a little bit last week. Don't let your heart get weary. Okay. You got to keep your eyes on God, and you know that He's got a plan, and you just have to stay faithful and get in the Word. Make sure you have a relationship with Him. Keep things in perspective. Get into the sunshine. Keep speaking truth, even when it's hard to speak truth. Keep speaking truth to your children. Make sure that they know, so that way when they have children, they will know the truth. And the truth is Him. He is the truth. And so when they know Him, He will, I believe, and this has happened so many times in my life, especially in the last 10 years, where what I need to know, I will know when I'm supposed to know it. And so He will reveal it to me. And I do believe He does that. And so I just want to encourage you, do not let your hearts get weary. All right. So in the vein of that, let's go on ahead and look. Okay. So I've got 2 funny videos for you for the end. The first one is, have you ever said something in public and you thought, oh my goodness, I've got a story for you, but listen to this guy tell his story. It's hilarious. Let's listen.
I have laughed 10 times today thinking of the story of when pronouns first came. This is not a commentary on pronouns, by the way. This is about NATO's misunderstanding.
Of what pronouns.
Okay, so what did you do?
Years ago, I was at the Apple store. There was a gentleman helping me, and it said he, him, his. I didn't know before. I had no idea. And so I thought it was like he's stating, like you go to like Trader Joe's, or I don't know where, but or Starbucks, like their favorite, they love walking dogs, they love video games. I thought he was insinuating that he was a Christian. He, him, his. And I was like giving him a nod to like, hey, he, him, his. Me too. Like, I too am a believer of Christ. Like, I kind of gave him and I'm sure he didn't understand what I was insinuating.
He was like, hey man.
I literally was like,
hey man, right here, dog.
Okay, so I was pregnant. We were at Vanderbilt. My OB doctor, I was expecting. We'd gone for a checkup. I'd been very, very sick. I was put on bed rest it was like 7 weeks along. I was put on bed rest. So I was in the bed for months, very sick. So I go to a doctor appointment. My husband's with me. He sends me down to like this basement in the building, and this is where the pharmacy was. And he wanted me to have some Zofran because I was so extremely nauseous. And so I go up and then we walk in, and it's like this long walk. And so you're in the pharmacy, but you can see her, but you have to walk past all these people that are waiting for their prescriptions. So I walk past all these people, they're kind of against the wall or whatever. And I just walk right up. And so she's, I'm giving her whatever the doctor has given me. And I go, oh, so when are you due? And she's like, I'm not pregnant. I'm just fat. I start laughing. I think she's joking. And then I realize she's not joking. And it was so quiet in there that literally you could hear a pin drop. So my husband, who's back in the back, I awkwardly walk away and go back there to where my husband is at. And he goes, did you ask her if she was pregnant? And I'm like, shut up, Jeff. Yes. Well, I did the same thing at the daycare a couple of years later. And he's like, have you not learned anything? It's like, so the other day over the weekend, I almost asked a lady when she was due. and I didn't dare do it because I wasn't really sure. I'm pretty sure she was pregnant. I was like 99%, but I'm so scared now because I've just put my foot in my mouth twice now. But this guy's story reminded me of that. It was like, I'm not asking anybody when they're due unless they tell me they're pregnant. I'm not even going there. And so, oh my word, but this totally got me. Okay, the next one. This is so precious. So a little 4-year-old girl reassures her newly adopted fur baby that he is safe now. Look at this.
Look, a boy. He's the delicious boy. I know. Look at me. I love you. Hey, he's the delicious boy in the whole world. I love you the most. I love you the most, you know. You are so handsome. You're so handsome. You're so handsome. I'm going to love you forever. I'm going to take care of you and I love you. Hug. Aww.
That's just so precious. And you know good and well that dog needed it. And so it was just so precious. Oh, I had to show it to you. Okay, a spirit of rebellion. Thank you so much. I see where a few people, KM Sunshine, Agenda 21 Truth. Yes, a spirit of rebellion. You see it. It's wild. And so it's like they just flaunt it and they want you to know, you know, it's like this hatred or something. And it's just, yeah, I just feel bad for people like that. Do y'all feel that way? I just feel bad for people. It makes me just, I don't know, just hurt for them because they don't know the love of Jesus. They don't know the joy. They don't have the fruits of the Spirit. And so it's like, that's all the good stuff, right? And so I hope you've enjoyed today's show. We've had a lot to talk about. Don't forget tomorrow, we're going to be doing the roots of the Jewish mafia. And then the next day, we're going to be doing, what's that one called? Propaganda. Yes, on Wednesday. And I'll see you right here live on Thursday. Eve is here Friday. We got a big surprise. I've been on the phone this morning, but I am busy working for you with this whole distribution center situation and making sure that we don't have all these issues with fulfillment, if at all possible. And so we're going to be working very hard to make sure. There's so much that goes into that. My whole family is involved. Producer Ron is holding the fort down with all the other stuff that we got going on. But I'm excited about Friday. Eve's going to be here and we're releasing some new goodies. It's what I would call like a little pop-up shop. We're going to release a few goodies, but you don't see it coming. I'm so excited. I've told her she can't say a word because it's a big surprise. And I hope that y'all are as excited about what we're releasing as what I am. I'm very excited. Can you tell? And I've been testing it for months and I absolutely love it. And I just can't wait to share it. So, all right, we'll see you here tomorrow for the Roots of the Jewish Mafia. Then you've got, what's it called again? Propaganda on Wednesday. And then I'll be here Thursday. And by Thursday, I'll have an update too about Steve Jarvis, KM. So we'll see about that. Galen, it's not shampoo. That's the end of the month. But I've been on the phone today about that too, making sure that we make it very clear how much shampoo is available. But we are also going to have, it's not just 4 shampoos and 4 conditioners. Some of these, not the purple. Now, the purple is one of the shampoos and the conditioners. Let me explain this. So that only comes in purple shampoo and a conditioner. But the others, like a clarifying, will have different kinds. And it's not honey. Y'all are not going to guess it. It's not. Nothing has ever been said about it on the show, ever. And so I'm so excited. I just can't stand it. And so, okay, so, because I know this is going to be the beginning of a huge hit for you guys. So that's why I'm so excited. And then it's going to also come in some other things that it's going to come into play with some other things at Granny Aganza. So just all kinds of goodies. I just got to be quiet, you know. And so I don't even remember what I was going to talk. Oh yeah, shampoos and conditioners. So, you know, we're doing like a clarifying shampoo and conditioner and a thickening shampoo and conditioner. What I'm not sure y'all realize is that they're also going to be coming in different scents. So like something may be unscented, but then it may also come in rustic man and apricot chamomile, for example. So there'll be different scents as well. But here's the deal. We are going to make sure that we make it very clear, like it's going to be first come, first serve on the shampoo and conditioner. And so those limits will be put into the system. And then the shampoos and the conditioners, if we run out of one of them, we will, it'll just show that it's back ordered or out of stock or whatever, or sold out. So that way we don't end up with what we ended up with the laundry detergent. The laundry detergent caught a lot of people apparently by surprise. I was not surprised because I knew that the world is ready for a clean laundry detergent, and especially from Godly Granny. And so I was shocked. Other people were shocked. So there was a complete breakdown in me even being aware that it wasn't expected to do well when I knew it was going to be a huge hit. So I am doing everything I can possibly do to make sure that these issues don't arise again. And so, or at least for the very least, like, okay, we're a small business. We can't just make 1,000 of something and not know. And so we're looking at what all the system will be able to allow us to do, whether it's pre-selling. So I've questioned about that, or at least putting in our numbers and then going from there and saying, okay, if this is where we're at on numbers for this particular product, we can put that into the system. And once that's sold, it'll just show sold out and won't let you be able to do another, like buy it and so forth. So we'll see. Rhonda says she got her order an hour ago. Oh boy. I tell you what, I even love it too. I love getting Godly Granny orders. It's fun. All right. Well, producer Ron says I got to go. So I have enjoyed our time together. I will see you live here on Thursday, and I'll see you right here next time on the Michelle Moore Show.
Hi, I'm Linda Bamber Olson, the inventor of the Wave Watch, the world's first frequency therapy watch. It features over 1,100 targeted frequencies combined into 150 playlists for ease of use. These sounds are acoustical and they move through your body, through your skin and your bones. You don't necessarily have to hear it. As each frequency goes through, it can be realigning, revitalizing, reconnecting, and even rebalancing your body all the way to the cellular level. So that's why we have so many testimonies for aches, ADD and ADHD, allergies, colds and flu, dental, emotions, headaches, joints, kidney stones, nerves, organs, skin health, swelling, tremors, vagus nerve, and so many more. Use this code for $100 off when you purchase the Wave Watch. Thanks for learning about frequencies, using them, and supporting the Wave Watch.
There aren't a lot of reasons to use Godly Granny products. There's every reason, because every time you twist or flip a cap on something from Godly Granny, you're voting no to chemicals and yes to common sense, but without all the electronic voting machines. With Godly Granny, there's no toxins, no chemicals, no endocrine disruptors, no cancer-chasing filler. Godly Granny is a small batch, made-to-order, deeply naturopathic wellness brand. Founded on biblical truth, formulated with pure purpose, and handcrafted by saved folks who know that freedom doesn't come from fake lavender and phthalates. Go to godlygranny.com today. Be sure and use the discount code Michelle10 at checkout to receive 10% off your entire order.
Hi friends, it's Michelle Moore. And when it comes to protecting your retirement, I believe in taking smart, steady steps. Bank of America analysts call gold the ultimate safe haven. And when it comes to precious metals, I trust Universal Coin and Bullion, the official rare coin and bullion dealer of my show. They have been named the best in their industry both nationally and regionally by leading organizations. Consider a gold IRA, a time-tested way to diversify your portfolio with real tangible assets, which lets you move a portion of your retirement savings into physical gold, helping protect your wealth from inflation, market swings, and economic uncertainty. And Universal Coin and Bullion makes the process easy. From rollovers to delivery, they walk you through every step, even if you have one with another gold company. Protect what you've worked so hard to build from the team that I trust, Universal Coin and Bullion, at 800-321-8700, and make sure to tell them Michelle sent you.
For Michelle's social media links, go to MichelleMooreShow.com.